All right, welcome to Metrolina, everybody. And tonight we're going to talk about options. I am going to go over some of the things that are the pros and cons, and then I'm going to show you why I'm talking about options and why it's important to where I'm at. And I am looking for my options PowerPoint. There it is. Okay, so here we got the pros and cons of options. And I'm going to go over this and basically end up telling you why I'm doing this. Okay, so everybody's heard me talk about the fact that they were building a Rivian plant that was going to be on I-20 East, and it was going to be somewhere within 25 to 30 miles of where I live, and there's no affordable housing out there. Okay, so then after I started talking to people about investing in that area and how we could end up buying properties out there for, if you go to the outskirts, because there's nothing but farmland, and then there's the very expensive gated neighborhoods that are around the lake, and they're very exclusive. They have a lot of people in there that are sports stars, that are country singers, all kinds of celebrity types and everything, or people that have become pretty successful in what they're doing. And unless you ended up buying 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even 20 years ago, then it was affordable back then, but it was a well-kept secret. Now the average property starts at $1 million and goes up. Okay, and they put something out that said that they were stopping the Rivian plant and not going to continue with the plant anymore. And so they did that because of a cyber attack that was on Tesla a while back, and so they basically didn't want something happening to them. So they basically ended up saying, well, we've stopped the actual building of the plant. Well, there was people that were living in our neighborhood that were actually being trained to work at the plant, and they did not stop training them to be working at the plant. They did not stop building the plant. You just couldn't see it through the trees unless you knew where it was at, and you went and watched, and you saw that there was still stuff being done and everything. So there's still no official thing that says that it's coming, but it's coming, all right? So the other part is that they're building something out there called Arabella. And there's only 2 traffic lights where I live. And there's, like I said, you have to drive 30 minutes to get to a Walmart. You have to drive 30 minutes to get to a Home Depot, a Lowe's. The only thing that we have in our 2 traffic lights, which is about a 3 or 4 mile stretch, is we have a bunch of marinas, a bunch of storage units, places to store boats, a few mom and pop restaurants. We have a movie theater and a McDonald's and a Dairy Queen. And the rest of it's mom and pop restaurants and everything that are little steak houses and stuff like that. So that being said, I was telling people we should buy on the outskirts, which would be, outside the city limits of where I'm at, probably 20 or 30 minutes away. Then you could buy properties that they sell for $50,000 or sometimes less. If they need work, you can buy them for $35,000 or $40,000, put $10,000 into them, and then you could turn around, and if you did not owe money on these, or if you did, you could actually put them up for owner financing for 10 years and ask for $10,000 down. And so the reason why I put it like this is because people come to me on a regular basis, and for round figures, they go, I need to borrow some money and everything, private money, and I don't do what they call hard money, which is charging points and then end up a percentage on top of that. and stuff like that. What I do is I loan you a straight amount of money for an interest rate and everything, unless you use round figures. I loan $100,000 at 12% interest. That makes it easy math for me because that's $1,000 a month for as long as you borrow the money. And I normally do up to 12 months, and you can pay off early if you end up selling early, and then you pay me back the 100,000. But I'm getting paid $1,000 interest free. Okay, so for that same $100,000, I figured out that I could go and buy 2 of these $35,000 or $40,000 houses that need fixing up, that's in the outskirts, end up putting about $10,000 into them. Now I've got $50,000 into 2 houses, the same $100,000. The average rent out there is $1,400. So if I do owner financing to where somebody's actually buying the house from me, which means I don't have to do the toilets, I don't have to clean the yard, I don't have to do this. I take $10,000 down from each house. Now I've got $80,000 into 2 houses. I charge $1,400 a month owner financing for 10 years. Now I'm making $2,800 a month off of the same $100,000. And I invited people to partner with me on this and end up doing this. And then the thing is that I already know where the properties are. And so I did not get the response that I was thinking that I was going to get. So I started doing something even different. I started saying, I am going to end up going around now that I know that they're building something called Arabella. That's next to one of the traffic lights. It's right next to, on Linger Longer Road, you turn right, and Reynolds, the Ritz-Carlton is between there, okay? So Lake Oconee Parkway to the Ritz-Carlton, there's nothing but wooded area. They just mowed all that down, and they're gonna put 120 units in there, which are retail, restaurants, fine dining, and 1,400 condominiums, high-rise condominiums that's gonna start at $1 million and go up, okay? So they've already started mowing that down. Then on the other side where Great Waters is, which is right across the cove from me, I can see where they've leveled everything out. I drove over there and they're putting up a resort condominium complex over there. Now, why would they not be doing this if they weren't bringing in, I was telling everybody they're gonna have 7,800 workers at the Rivian plant. It's gonna be like a big Lockheed, you know, and it's gonna bring people from all the way around. But there's no place for them to live. So I started contacting people and saying, invest with me. I know where the properties are. I'm going out and making offers on 10 to 30 to 40 acres of property off of a main road that we can end up cutting one road down the center of it and put 15, 20 houses, depending on how big it is, a couple of pickleball courts, a clubhouse, a swimming pool, and everybody gets to choose between either a ranch house or a split level, but they're basically the same house all the way through. And I said, and people are starting to do this, and I'm working with people that are doing it, and I know 6 subdivisions that are in the process of either being totally fixed or started to be done right now. And I said, we need to get these now. And they said, well, you know what? It's gonna take 2 years or so before people end up saying, well, I don't wanna leave until it gets crowded. And there's plenty of people out there that this is generational land. They haven't moved out of there for years because they grew up in this country atmosphere and they don't want the big crowded thing. So they will move. And so the younger generations are saying, well, you know, I'll sell the property, but I'll sell it when I'm ready to move. So here's why I'm talking about options, okay? If I go to these people and instead of saying, okay, let's use round figures again, you've got 10 acres of land right here. And instead of saying, I'll give you $100,000 or $150,000 for this 10 acres of land, which is 15,000 an acre, okay? Which right now you can get it for 10 or 15,000, and the closer you get to something that's really cool, then it might go to 20,000. But right now it's cheap. $200,000 will buy you 10, 15, or 25 acres, okay? So that's not that much money. But if I want to get involved in 4 or 5 of these things, then I don't want to take $1 million, $1.5 million, or $2 million cash out of anything that might be, you know, stuck in stocks, in bonds, in things that I have invested and stuff like that, because that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to end up spending the money on a better house than where we actually moved, because I'm actually happy where we're at, and it's gone up in value. It is lakefront. It is on the golf course. It is beautiful, and I got it dirt cheap from what it's worth and everything. So, but I priced myself out and everything because I don't want to spend any money, and I don't want to go into debt because I'm trying to retire. So my thing is this: instead of putting $200,000 down, I ended up saying, okay, so I bought your 20 acres here for $10,000 an acre, and I'm gonna sit on it until a builder comes and wants to buy it from me and build on it. Or I have in my network builders that say, hey Pete, you've got the property, I've got the building expertise, let's partner up and build houses, and we'll work a split to where we can do this. I'm looking for people who are interested in investing with me and everything, becoming a partnership, okay? Now, you would end up joining the partnership, and it's not gonna be that I'm just gonna end up telling everybody where everything's at and then let everybody rush out there and do it on their own. I'm going to end up, I've got the inside track, I know the people, I know what's going on. The people that I know out there know the people that are on the commission, you know, and a lot of stuff gets done out there that you don't know it's going to be done until after it's halfway built, because that's just the way that things go. But here's why the options, okay? Did you know that I can end up going to somebody that says, yep, I'll sell you this property for $150,000, but the only thing is I don't want to move for 2 years until it starts to come out. And I go, okay, well, I tell you what, I'll write a contract up right now to where I'll give you $150,000 for that house, for that land. And so we'll just go ahead and lock it up. You consider it sold and everything. And they go, yeah, but what's in it for me now? And I go, well, I tell you what if I give you $10,000 or $20,000 right now that you can play with and everything, do whatever it is that you want with it. And then what I'll do is, instead of buying the land right now, just give me the option to buy it at any point between this, I'll give it 5 years and everything. But anytime during this 5-year period, I can end up buying this property from you for $150,000. And here's $10,000, $15,000, or $20,000 to seal the deal. And they go, okay, and they end up signing the option to give me the option to buy it. I also have the option to not only buy it, I have the option to sell it to somebody else. Okay, does everybody understand that? I have the option to back out and just let them keep my $20,000 in case I decide that I don't want to do it. Okay, does everybody end up seeing that, where we're at with this? So that's what's going on. So instead of putting $200,000 down on one, I can put $20,000 on 10 pieces of property. Okay, but I don't want to be the only person that's involved in this. I want to end up bringing in people that either want to end up having something to do with it, or I want somebody who's either in the building to where they'll either come and buy it from me when they know that it's going to go up to $50,000 to $100,000 an acre or something like that. You know, I mean, it's just one of those things. But to get it under the option is the big thing. So I've given you two things. You can end up buying the houses and charge $1,400 a month and do owner financing. Guess what? Once you get $10,000 down at $1,400 a month, how much more? I mean, how long do you have to hold on to it if you've given them a 10-year owner financing before it's paid off? Let's say that it's 5 years. Okay, all right. So then you've got all your money back, everything, and you've made a profit and all this kind of stuff. Let's say you don't want to do it anymore. You don't want to hold it for 5 more years. If you're my age, you might not want to, you know. If you're some of y'all's age and everything, y'all might have another 25, 30, 40 years, you know. It just depends on how old you are. I don't want to be still chasing properties and everything, you know, 10 years from now. Now, I'll probably never retire. I just won't be in it as deep as I am now because I'm slowing down, but I'm working smarter with my money. And I'm still making it to where I don't take what I've got saved. I'm only spending what I'm making. And I haven't had to touch anything that's saved because my wife is a good investor. Okay, she knows where to invest the money. So that being said, all you got to do is get these things under the option, and that's what I'm going to offer to the people that end up wanting to get involved with what's going on, is to actually have them come and say, okay, Pete, I want to join into your investment group for that and everything. It's not in the state of North Carolina, it's in Georgia. Okay, so I will file an entity in Georgia and end up having partners buy into it and everything, and it's going to be a very small amount and everything to join into what it is, and then you would end up being able to put in anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000, or you could be involved in as many as you want. It just depends on how many you want to get involved in. Now, let me end up going through this.
Do you record those options with the?
Yes. Okay, that was what's going to come up in here.
Okay.
See, the one thing that people don't do is they don't take that option and take it down to the courthouse and record the option. And because since it's just an option, then they feel that they have leveraged the house, they have control of the house, but they don't feel as if they have bought the house. So they don't do anything except for hold that paperwork. Okay, if you go down and you file that paperwork, then that now becomes a part of the title on that property. That means that anybody if somebody ended up coming up to those people 6 months from now and says, hey, I want to buy your property, because everybody's going to start buying properties in about 6 months to a year from now. I'm ahead of the game because I see it coming, okay? Because I live there. I see what's going on. I know it long before the hundreds of people are going to come in and do this. So they just hold on to the paperwork. Well, if I record the paperwork, then that means if somebody else wants to come and buy it, they have to buy it from me for what I'm willing to sell it for. They can't approach them. But if I did not record the option, then they could go to that person and end up saying, well, how much did they give you? And then they end up saying, well, they gave me $20,000 or $10,000. And they go, well, we'll give you 40. And they'll do a title search, and if they don't see anything on it, then they'll sell it out from under you, and then all you can do is try and end up taking them to court to try and get your money back and everything that you paid for the option, okay? So, but if you record it, then somebody's got to come and actually buy you out for whatever it is that you want to sell it for. So that's why it's important. Okay. All right. So understanding the risk and everything. So the definition of basic real estate options is it's an option contract that gives the buyer, which is you or me, the right but not the obligation to purchase or sell a property at a set price within a specific time frame. Okay. I can buy it, I can sell it during that time frame, no matter what, at that set price, okay? So I set a price of what they want and what they would look up, and I actually show them comps that I am offering them fair market value of what that property is. I am not lowballing anybody. I'm not looking for a deal. I'm looking to have the option to buy it when they're ready to move out. And if they're ready to move out now, then I'll buy them outright, okay? If they're not ready to move out right now, I want the option. I would rather end up getting the option, because once I buy it, now I gotta do something with it. But see, that causes me to have another job. I have to go and run a crew or hire somebody and oversee that to have them fix it. But if I just get it under an option, then I don't have to do anything. My money's working for me. And my money and that contract is what's holding it to where somebody has to come and literally buy me out, or I wait until I want to exercise that option and I can end up selling this property for what the value is 2 years from now when the building moves in. And it might triple, it might quadruple, who knows what it's gonna do, but it's gonna go up. And if it doesn't, then I can walk away and just lose my $10,000 or $20,000. And after 2 years, I'm probably not worried about it at that point anyway. I've probably covered it somewhere else down the road, okay? So the key terms, there's things to remember. Something that's called the call option. A call option is the right to buy. A put option is the right to sell. And a premium is the price that you're paying for the option, not the sales price. The strike price is the sales price, okay? So those are 4 words that you need in your contract. Anybody that gets involved with me is going to end up having the contracts already written, okay? And they'll be based on the counties that I'm buying in, and they're gonna be done by local attorneys and stuff that know what's going on in there. So does everybody got that? The call option is the right to buy, the put option is the right to sell, the premium is the price that you pay for the option, and the strike price is the set purchase sale price and everything, and whatever the term is for the option, all right? Okay, so the pros is flexibility. It's the ability to lock in for a future purchase price without immediate commitment. You don't have to buy it right now, okay? There's people that put down options with no money down. But the thing is, if you do something with it with no money down, then in some places, then that is not a legal transaction, okay? That's why you used to see something that says, for $10 and other good and valuable consideration. Do you remember that? Okay, that's when you didn't really want to end up disclosing exactly what money that you put down or anything, and you may actually end up changing $10 in the hands. You might do $100, you might do $500, whatever it is. But you know, if you don't necessarily want to put what the, you know, if you don't want automatic taxes on everything, then you end up putting something in there that leaves it up to what you file, okay? So anyway, it's the ability to lock in a future purchase price without immediate commitment, all right? So that gives you the opportunity to wait for the market conditions to improve before buying, okay? This is something that I know the people want to sell, and they know they want to sell it. It's just some people will sell and get out because they don't want to see what's coming. And some people are going to say, I don't want to have to move until absolute last minute when I can't stand it anymore. So either way, the option is the way to go. You know, get yourself in there on the option. The potential profit from the market fluctuations without taking full ownership, okay? So you know that you've already established that it's probably gonna go up, otherwise you wouldn't do it in the first place, okay? So you don't have to take full ownership. All you're doing is you now have control of the property. You don't own it, but you have control over it, okay? And you must file it. You must file that paperwork. If you don't file it, you're leaving yourself at risk, okay? All right, so you have limited risk, the controlled risk by only paying the option premium, not the full premium price. So the worst thing that you can lose is whatever you paid to exercise the option, which would be, in this case, $10,000 or $20,000, whatever it is that we decide to give them in order to sign the option for us. Once it's signed, we go that day and record that option, okay? Don't forget to record the option. We also have the option to walk away if the market conditions become unfavorable. We don't get our money back, but being real estate investors, and that's why you're ending up joining somebody that's basically assessing the risk for you, okay? I would not have anybody put their money into anything that my money's not in. And as opposed to also this, I'm not going to end up letting somebody come in without having skin in the game too, okay? I get 1 million calls a day about people that end up saying, Pete, I've got the deal of a lifetime. If you'll just put the money up and everything and let me buy this property, then I'll pay you back every penny, plus I'll give you this, that, the other, and this, and I'll go, I'll partner with you on it and everything. How much money can you put in it? I don't have a dime to put in on it and everything. I need you to put up 100% of the money. So I'm taking 100% of the money, 100% of the risk and everything. And guess what? When push comes to shove, people don't give a damn about your money or your commitment, okay? If they don't have skin in the game, if they don't have something to lose, then they don't care, they'll walk away. That's why banks, it doesn't matter if you've got $10 million in the bank, if you've got 20 properties that have a mortgage on them, and you're a real estate investor, and they end up seeing you've got $10 million in the bank, but they end up seeing that you have 10 rental properties, and you go in there to borrow money, and you're doing it on a signature, and you're not putting up collateral, you're just saying, hey, you see what I'm worth, you see what I've got, and everything. They'll turn you down because they go, well, what if 5 of these properties come vacant all at once? Now you're on the hook for all those payments and everything, so we don't like that risk. It doesn't matter what you got and everything, it's what do you have in the game. So banks won't even do it, okay? So, but just like I said, we have the option to walk away, all right? So the market timing, the timing right now is perfect because we have the potential to capitalize on short-term market trends for future development plans. All right, so right now, if we go out and we get these things under contract, under options, I've already seen at the city planning and zoning department what's been approved, and I'm watching things go up. I've got pictures and everything that I'm going to show you as a second part of my presentation that shows you what's going on and why I am 100% certain that I can make probably, I don't want to end up saying I can make 10 times the investment or something like that. I just know that it's going to be a profitable venture for anybody who gets involved in it, as far as based on what I can see now. Unless something happens to where we end up having like Los Angeles, half of Los Angeles burns down or something, unless a catastrophe happens, then the potential is so real that it's going to make a big profit. And you know that people back when this place was still a secret, they ended up buying stuff for $100,000 and $200,000 that are selling for $2.5 million to $4 million right now.
I think they paid $240 for their house.
Yeah,
He couldn't afford it now.
right, yeah.
And somebody would tear it down.
And it was yeah, people, you couldn't afford to buy what they bought for $240 now, and then somebody else is gonna come in for what most of us couldn't afford to buy it for, and they're gonna scrape it with a bulldozer and put something that's a few more million on it and everything. I know that when I ended up buying mine 5 years ago, it has tripled in value, and it just blows me away. And I know that it's just going to go up. Right? So it can be used to secure a property in today's competitive market. And it's missing a T there. All right, so cash flow generation. Selling covered calls can generate income if the underlying property value remains stable. Okay? So when we say, we're not talking about calls on the phone. Remember, we ended up using the term calls are basically the part of the option and everything. You can sell those calls to generate income if you see that it's starting to end up getting to where it's still stable. You can, if you wanted to get out, you could sell it for what you got into it very easily. But that's just if it stays stable. But this is going to go up and everything. So, but remember, you always have the option to walk away too. Here's the cons of doing this. All right, understanding option contracts requires knowledge of financial terms and market dynamics. Okay, that means that's why we're saying we're going to do all the legwork. We're going to end up having, if somebody puts skin in the game, we're going to end up controlling the stuff that you might not know about the market. We will have the market checked out. We will have the market figured out. We will end up having a game plan. You'll see the game plan before you end up getting involved in it and everything. But like I say, this is not something that we're just going to end up throwing out there and saying, here's where you need to be investing, because everybody's going to come out and everybody will undercut you unless you end up going in. And that's why we're going to do it as a very, very small group. Okay, we may take 5, 10 people at the most, and we may end up buying. The ideal situation would be to have maybe 4 or 5 groups of 5, and we buy 10 pieces of property in each group and everything, and spread it out amongst a number of counties and everything, to where you don't oversaturate one county and you don't end up, you can end up paying less over here and paying more over here. But once this gets built up, that's going to end up, what you paid the littlest for is going to be the last stuff that's built, and it's going to be the one that you hold on to the longest. It's probably going to be the one that makes the most money. Okay. So the other thing is that legal considerations and contract details can be intricate. So I'm not the smartest person in the room, but what I did is I ended up having somebody that's smarter than me in options, and they are going to be the one who ends up handling the financing and all that stuff. Somebody who's been there and done that 100 times. Okay, I haven't. Have I done an option? Sure. Did I make money on it? Yes. Do I think I'm an expert at it? Hell no. Okay? I'm an expert at telling you how to rehab properties at a discount. But have I ended up traveling the country for 35 or 40 years, watching every known speaker in the country, including my brother, on how to buy properties, how to asset protection? I've seen everybody, I know everybody. My best friend owns a self-directed IRA company, 401k company, and everything. So am I familiar with everything? Yes, but I am not an expert except for one thing. So when I'm putting my money into something I'm not an expert in, I'm gonna end up using the expert, okay? Because I'll put all the skin in the game that I see necessary to get involved in it. But I'm not going to be the one making the decisions. They are, because they're smarter than me on this, okay? And when it comes to something that I'm smarter than them on, then they'll end up asking me about that. So, time decay. Option premium gradually loses value as the expiration date approaches, reducing potential profit, okay? What that means is unless you've recorded it, then people are going to end up starting to say, hey, I've noticed that the prices of properties are going up and up and up and up and up. I don't know that I want to sell this anymore. Well, now they're obligated to, okay? And so what I do is once I get to where I see that the property values are starting to end up getting to where somebody's gonna start noticing, even the general public, then I'll end up starting to push. Do you wanna exercise the option now and everything and go ahead and start doing this? And if you don't wanna go ahead and take the money, then, and they go, no, because I can see that the property values are going up. Then I go, okay, well, if you don't want me to give you the money now and everything while you can go ahead and go, then I'm still gonna hold on to it and exercise it until somebody comes and buys my option. And that was the whole thing. And see, they know this up front. It's not like you kept it a secret. You're saying, I'm giving you money now and we've agreed on this price, and I'm giving you the option to leave now or leave when it gets closer. But, you know, we have made the deal.
Can you have an unlimited expiration on it?
I would not have an unlimited expiration on it, because then if you don't have an unlimited expiration on it, then they can be forced never to sell it to you because there's not an end date. So I would put at least an end date on it to where it was 5 years, 10 years. So eventually there is an end date that they have to sell you that property. But the way that it's worded is that you can buy it at any point during that time. They can stretch it out as long as they want, or ask for as long as they want. But the way that it's worded is that you can buy that property for that price at any given time. That's what's written in there. Okay, if the market moves significantly in your favor, you might miss out on potential gains if you don't exercise the option. Okay, so this is another reason why you end up going ahead and recording the option. This is if somebody didn't record the option, because people are gonna end up getting offers from somebody else. Once the properties start going up, if somebody comes and offers your person twice what you offered them, then they can sell it unless you've got it recorded, okay?
Does it so happen that the price is going so up that seller refuses to go to the closing table?
Now, ask me again.
Can the seller refuse to come to closing table when
The seller cannot refuse to come to the closing. I mean, I guess you could end up forcing the issue because it is a contractual agreement, and you know, it would require litigation if they wanted to fight it and everything. But there's, as long as the contract is set up to where nobody was misled and nobody was misrepresented, then obviously it's going to be an enforceable contract. And if they accept money when they end up agreeing to it, then they basically, there has been a meeting of the minds. And that's normally what happens in a real estate deal is, was there a meeting of the minds? If there wasn't an actual meeting of the minds, then, you know, there was no real agreement and everything. So, but if it's clearly written and everybody agrees to what it is, and there's no weird terms in there, there's no ghosting effect, no hidden stuff. It's flat out. You don't give them a 20-page thing. It's like 2 pages, you know, and it's fill in the blanks. This is what we're gonna give you now. This is what we've agreed that you're gonna sell it to me for, and you're gonna sell it to me for this by this date and everything, which is 3 years down the road, 2 years down the road, 1 year down the road. I have the right to buy it, sell it, or walk away at any given time during this stretch of I can exercise the option. Okay,
Yeah, so you have the right, but not the obligation to buy the house.
that is correct.
They have the obligation, if you exercise, they have to sell. They
It's,
don't have a choice.
that's exactly what was right, and I'm gonna say that so that the film picks it up. They have the obligation to sell it to you, and you have the right to buy it, sell it, or walk away from it. But they are obligated to sell it to you once they end up signing the option and accept money and the terms. Okay, yes?
In the agreement, you say, they need to sell it by this date to you. What if they, I mean, I guess when you're talking to them, you know, you're gonna say, well, we're not gonna do it right away, you don't have to move right now.
Mhm.
But as far as trying to get, you know, what kind of heads up would you give them, I guess, if you get to the point, and if you have other property owners that are in the same area and you wanna get that whole, how would
Right.
you coordinate that, where,
Yeah.
would you just call it?
Okay, so basically you're saying, you know, how do you make sure that you can exercise the actual purchase?
When you want to.
When you want to. Okay, so you go to the people and you say, I am interested in buying your property, okay? And they end up giving you the indication that they are interested in selling the property. Then you end up saying, okay, now that we've agreed on the fact that I wanna buy and you wanna sell, let's agree on a price. Now you've agreed on a price and you end up writing down the price. Then you end up saying, okay, do you want to end up closing now, or do you want to stay in the property for a while? If you want to close within 30, 60, or 90 days, then we will end up doing a purchase and sale agreement. If you want to end up staying in the property for any amount of time, then this is gonna become not a purchase and sale agreement, it's gonna become an option where I have the option to buy this property. How long do you want to be able to stay in this property? And they end up saying, well, I'd like to stay in it for so long. And then if it's longer than what you go, how about we end up making it, if they say, I'd like to stay in here for 5 years, say, how about we end up making it 3 years, and I'll give you X amount of dollars if you'll sign today, and we agree on this.
You're
But,
not really agreeing on a specific time, it's just you're agreeing, and so if you want to go ahead and do it, you know, like, let's say you're a year or 2 years into it, and
Yes.
you've got 5 years, what do you just let them know, hey, I'm ready to exercise my option?
yes, like
Give them
if
some
somebody,
notice.
if somebody came to me and they made me an offer that made me say, I wanna sell that, then I would end up going to them and saying, okay, I'm going to exercise my right to end up, purchasing the property at this amount of dollars and everything. However, how long do you need to vacate the property? And that's what I'll make my closing date. And then you negotiate the closing date on when you're going to exercise the option. Okay?
Pete owns the option. He's
Right.
got the ticket.
Right.
Once he turns in the ticket,
Right.
they have to sell.
Yeah, I'm
Now, he can
just,
be nice and
Yeah.
say, I'll give you time, but I only take, from the time they sign
Yeah.
that contract,
Right.
the house is sold. He just hasn't
Yeah.
paid for the full price or
Right.
taken a date,
Yeah.
but he's
Yeah,
got
I'll just-
5 years, he's got 5 years to buy that house, pay cash, do whatever, and buy that amount. After 5 years, he's done, that option's done. That $20,000 is an option fee. He paid to have the option to buy it in that 5-year period. They can't refuse him to sell the
Right.
house.
Yeah.
He's got the option to buy it.
yeah, I got that, I'm just, you know, I guess I'm just thinking about, if you say, okay, I'm gonna have the options for 5 years, but then you say in 3 years, you know, you get ready and you say, okay, I'm gonna exercise my option. I know they have to do it,
Yeah, they don't have a
but,
choice.
I don't know, I guess I'm just wondering, the interaction between the buyer and the seller and,
Well,
you know,
if
if
the
there's
buyer
a.
didn't wanna sell, they shouldn't have taken the risk.
Yeah,
I mean, they sold it, they agreed
Right.
to it, and they said, yes, I wanna stay here, you have 5 years to buy it. He can buy it in 30 days, hey, the market's
This is
going
on-
crazy, you gotta
Right.
go.
right.
Like, you already sold it to me, here's your
Right.
money, I'm turning in,
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
exercising the
but
option.
you're also asking them, how long do you want to stay here, which kinda makes it sound like, well, I'll give you that
Well,
long, you know what I'm saying?
And that's
As long as
where
the word-
you explain to them, look, I have 5 years to exercise this, I could exercise it next week, if these prices explode and now it's $2 million,
Mhm.
I'm buying your house for 150,
Yeah,
I'm gonna sell it for 2 million. You can be nice and say, hey, look, the market's going up, you don't tell them that, but you know, the market's going up, I got a developer, I'm gonna tell the buyer, the developer wants to buy it in 6 months, I'll tell them, look, you got 3 months to get out, but I'm gonna exercise this option in 3 months, and then we're gonna close. So you got like, basically you got 60 days, 90 days to get out, but they don't have a choice, they already sold the house. just
And if
don't-
you really want to end up protecting yourself on that, then basically you end up saying, you know, do you wanna sell and move immediately and everything, we'll do a purchase and sale agreement. And, then they say, well, no, I'd like to stay in it for a while. Then you end up going, well, how long would you end up wanting to stay? And if they said, well, I need, what if they said, well, I need 6 months? Then you go, okay, I'll give you 9 months or 1 year,
Yeah.
but at 1 year, we agree that all bets are off and everything, we're closing on that date, no matter what. If you think that somebody's gonna be, you know, a little wishy-washy about it and everything, so, you don't give them an unlimited amount of time and everything, and if you're smart about it, then you won't give it time enough to where they end up seeing that their property value is gonna triple
yeah,
and everything. And the fact is that I'm not so worried about that part, because 90% of the people that we're dealing with, this property has been handed down to them, and they've been looking for a way to sell it, and nobody's actually come up and offered them a lump sum. 90% of the time, if you go in and you offer somebody a lump sum for something, especially if they inherited it or it's been handed down, the houses that they're living in could be 40 years old. They could be 30 years old, 20 years old. So they're in a position to where they've been thinking about moving all their lives. It's just that they never thought the opportunity was gonna be there. Then when they see this amount of money in front of them, especially if somebody bought it for 20,000 and you're offering them 150, and then they're going, wow, okay, and I don't have to move right away. Okay, so don't ever put it so far out that you're gonna give away all of your secret benefit that might be happening down the loop. And you know what? If you wanna end up, you know, being 100% honest with them, which I do and everything, then I will end up saying, the reason why I'm doing this is because I am planning on doing something with this property to where I'm gonna have to put a lot of money into it to develop it into something so that I can end up making this property a lot more valuable. And so, there's no secret that I would not be buying this if I was not going to end up making a profit off of it. But this is what they were comfortable with the sales price as. And basically, if you want to end up making sure that nothing goes wrong in you feeling, you can actually put something in there that you are totally happy with the price that we have agreed upon and the terms that we have agreed upon. And you know, that's the way it is. But a lot of people don't do that. They basically end up saying, what would you be happy with if I was to end up buying your property? And then how long do you want before you have to move? You've given them the option to say what they want and when they want it. And so, you know, other other than, getting in an argument with a sibling or a significant other or whatever and everything, then, you know, I've seen that happen. You do have a potential for a loss too. If the market goes against you, you could lose your entire option premium, okay? So, you know, you're taking a risk too. You can end up saying, I'm doing this now because there's a potential that this property is gonna go up in value at some point. And so that's why we've got it locked in.
Do you do any research to make sure you're dealing with people that, like, what if it's owned by 3 siblings and one sibling signed the option and the other 2 didn't? So they're like, we didn't have anything to do with this.
That's gonna be in the title report. So you end up doing an official title report and then you get title insurance. Okay, the title insurance costs you about $250 or $300 depending on where you're at. And the thing is that if it's in probate, then you end up getting the executor to tell you who all has to sign off on it. A lot of times it's just the executor that has to sign off on it because they have the signatures and the power of attorney for all of the other people. Okay, so you basically have your ducks in a row before you go there. That's why it says the complexity of the contracts could be, that was part of the cons, is the complexity of the contract. And so that's why you end up having somebody that ends up making the contract simple but accurate so that everybody understands what they're agreeing to and that nobody can end up screaming foul at the end because everybody was happy with it when they signed it and when the terms were met. All right, real world examples. A buyer uses a call option to secure a future purchase price on a property and they expect it to appreciate in value. Okay, you're telling them, I'm expecting this to go up in value, but I'm willing to give you this much money for it right now and take the risk on whether it goes up or down. Okay, so they understand that it could go up or down, but they're guaranteed this to walk. Okay, it's kind of like, let's look at it like every game show that you ever watch, The Wall, you know, where they do the thing coming down there and all that, they always end up saying, or deal or no deal. Okay, that's basically what this is all about. Okay, you've got this case. You can walk away right now and have $150,000 or $200,000, or you can gamble for the case that's over there. And sometimes they end up gambling, but most of the time when they get to where they end up seeing a dollar figure that they're going, that's a lot of money for me. Regardless of whether it's a lot of money for you, that's a lot of money for me. I can't walk away from that amount of money, and they finally end up saying, okay, deal. But the only time that people don't take the deal is when there's somebody out there that's not risking any of the money going, no deal, no deal, hold on to it. And then they end up with nothing, you know, and somebody walks away and say, well, you know what, you just wanted to, you didn't exercise the deal, so I'm walking away. But, you know, anytime that you end up doing it, it's always spelled out. A seller uses a put option to protect against potential market turn down, okay? So that means the put option means that you can sell it, okay? And the reason why you end up having on that is because if you see that it's starting to go down, you can sell it to somebody else before it goes down. And you'll at least be able to sell it for something that you're happy with. So what it is, you're agreeing to give somebody something that they're happy with, and then you wait until you're happy with somebody to buy your option, okay? Because in this particular case, I've got 2 things that I want to do. I either want to wait and have a builder buy it, or I want somebody to buy me out. But if I don't want to do the option and everything, then I'm going to buy it outright and get a builder to partner with me and come in, and we buy it outright and we build houses right then. and they end up I put up the side for the property, they put up the side for the money. We end up coming up with a split. And that again is something to where, what if they make more money than I do and everything, and I found the property? Well, they built the house. Okay, can I get mad at them if I said, yes, I'll split with you, and then I find out that, oh, well, I'm only getting $250,000 per house, and now that the property values have gone up, after their building costs, they're making $600,000 per house. I can't come back and say, hey, no, I'm calling foul, because I signed that I was happy with this amount of money. And it's the same thing that what you're doing there. It's Game of Thrones, folks. The key takeaway is that real estate options can provide a valuable tool for investors seeking flexibility and risk management, but thorough understanding of the mechanics is crucial, and that's what you're questioning, and that's where the written contract is going to be crucial. That's why it's got to be written by an attorney that knows exactly what they're doing. You consider consulting with a real estate professional and financial advisor before utilizing options. Well, you'll already be involved with people like that. That's the end of that slideshow and everything. You know, we're actually, I'm gonna show you a couple of examples real quick, and then we'll shoot for getting out of here between 8:15 and 8:30 then. So let me end up showing you what I'm looking at. Okay, this is the affordable housing project that I have been putting together. Okay, if you take a look at this, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going 3 miles radius, 5 miles tops from my driveway, or not my driveway because it takes a mile to get out, but the gate of the place that I live at. All right. So I'm showing this to some of my investors.
So who does the perk test and all that?
The properties have already been perk tested because 90% of them already have something built on them.
Okay. And
Now-
what about zoning?
Now, what we would do is, we already have the city and zoning commission to where we know whether we can see there's certain places that you have to have 5 acres to put a property on. There's other places that you can end up putting on a 1/4 acre, 1/2 an acre, 1/3 acre, or more and everything. But there's only certain areas out there that you have to have 5 acres. All right. They are rezoning based on the fact that they there was a point that they weren't allowing those big industrial and those big things coming in. And I don't remember seeing any signs saying that there was hearings and all kinds of stuff about it. I'm sure there had to be, but I drove past it. Like I said, there's only 2 traffic lights in our town and everything. I never saw them and everything, but apparently it got passed. And so, but yes, everybody's in there. And I actually have sound on this. One of these is sound. Oh, there it is. Alright, it's already up, so doesn't matter. Alright, so everywhere that I go on my street, there's 15 or 20 acres with abandoned houses, abandoned trailers, and it's not heavily wooded. There's no shortage of property.
And you guys aren't too far from Atlanta as well.
No, they say an hour and a half, it takes me 2 hours. Because of traffic and everything. They're always working on 20, and guess what? That place that they say that there's not going to be a Rivian plant, they just put 2 new exit ramps, one before it and one after it, and then they put 2 side streets that are 4 lanes, and they knocked down a bunch of property on the other side where they're building some apartment complexes. So, yeah, it's not coming, but they just so happen to have put 2 new exit ramps on I-20 East and I-20 West. And, you know, so, but see, take a look at this. I mean, this is flat land. It's got power. It's got water, okay? There are gonna be some properties that we buy that are gonna be septic, and they're gonna be well, okay? It's just a fact of life. Not all of it's gonna end up being to be on city water and everything. But that's okay, because we're buying places that property has already had to be perked, make sure that everything's good and everything, and that they can end up getting the stuff on there. All right, so this is one long street and everything. I have not got off of the same street yet, and I hadn't gone more than 2 miles. And I didn't want to end up making my investors have to watch, you know, hours and hours of stuff and everything. But you can see there's nothing less than 10 acres and about 50 acres. Like looking at this, there's places that people are living in that have old junk cars and everything, but I've done the plat on it, and they got 10 or 15 acres sitting behind the house. You know, and they got a dirt road driveway and 3 cars up on blocks, okay? You don't think that going in there and offering them $150,000 to end up moving out of Hicksville and everything, you know? I mean, they consider me the Beverly Hillbillies. I'm afraid that one day they're gonna come and knock on my door and say, hey, we found out who you are and you're not supposed to be here and everything. As a matter of fact, when I was looking for properties out there, they showed us Great Waters, Reynolds Plantation, the Ritz-Carlton area, all of this stuff all around the lake and everything. And then we said, well, you know, isn't there any other place and everything? And they said, well, there's Cuskawilla, but you don't want to go there. They actually allow rentals and they allow Airbnbs and everything. And they're like hillbillies. And we're like, oh, okay. And so we said, okay, well, thank you. And she left, and me and Barbara looked at each other and go, we're going to Cuskawilla. And we pulled in there and we drove through the guard gate after we got a pass and said that we're looking at property in here. And they said, we'll send the agent who handles everything out there. And they, as soon as we topped the top of the hill, every bit of pressure of living in Atlanta and the busy thing, I just got a feeling, and she got a feeling. We looked at each other and said, man, we're home. And we hadn't even got to a house yet. So it was like, we were told, if you can find a house in here, get your foot in the door, buy whatever you can, fix it up, and then move. Everybody move. It's Hotel California. Everybody checks in, but nobody ever leaves. And that's the big joke about it, is they just move up, because they only allow, like in these neighborhoods, they only allow 10 houses a year to be built so that they can keep their values and everything. And you know, since you've got parents living there, that the only place that has public access to this water is on parks, national parks, and wherever you can store a boat at a marina. They have to have a public access. Other than that, if they're all members only neighborhoods, that's why all the sports figures and country stores and everything go there, because that's where they can go and nobody gives a damn who they are, and nobody's running up wanting pictures, nobody's running up and saying sign autographs and everything, because everybody in there is just the same as them. They're there because they don't want to be bothered. You're sitting at the table and Jason Aldean's sitting next to you. You know, a lot of you don't know who that is. But, you know, anybody heard of Travis Tritt? I went to high school with him. He was on the Grand Ole Opry's 100-year anniversary last night. and everything, okay? He was the house band at a little country and western dance bar that used to country line dance and everything. He went to high school with us, and right after he got out of high school, he was ended up playing as the house band there. Now he's been in the Grand Ole Opry for years, and he's a major star because of Marty Stewart and everything. So, you know, it's networking. He networked with Marty Stewart. Marty Stewart got him into the group and everything so he could get noticed and everything. And then to keep him in the papers, you know how Michael Jackson was always in that National Enquirer and everything? It wasn't people putting him in the National Enquirer, it was Michael Jackson putting him in the National Enquirer, because all press makes people want to buy stuff about you. It keeps you in there. Travis Tritt started an argument with Billy Ray Cyrus, Miley Cyrus's dad. You know why? Because he had only had a couple of hits and nothing was made number one yet. And then Billy Ray Cyrus came out with Achy Breaky Heart. And so Travis Tritt went on something and ended up saying, well, we don't, in the country music, end up shaking our pelvis like we're Elvis Presley or something. That's just not country music. And it started a feud between him and Billy Ray Cyrus, which made them both household names. Because other than that, Miley Cyrus was going to be the household name. The only reason why you know Billy Ray Cyrus is because somebody hated his guts because he ended up shaking his hips singing Achy Breaky Heart. Name 2 other songs that he did. You know, I mean, think about it. I can name 10 songs that Travis Tritt did, you know, after he you know, became famous. But all right, here's one of these neighborhoods, and I said, make it to where you do a split level and a ranch, give them a choice. These didn't give them a choice. These are identical houses. There's 14, 12 of them that you can see, 2 of them around the corner. They bought 10 acres. They only built on one side of the road because the water was only on one side of the road and they didn't want to pay to put it on the other side. But watch, every single house is the exact same thing.
Right here is 12 identical homes, all affordable.
Painted exactly alike. They buy these things, they're under contract when it's a lot. They go into a model home and they buy off of a blueprint before they're even built. Do you understand how fast these things are going? Because everybody knows it's coming, okay? Except for the people sitting on all this property. And until somebody comes and offers them money, then they're gonna end up selling. If somebody comes up and they know good and well that they got that property for free, that's something that their grandparents grew up in. Most of the people that I know out there, they went to elementary school there, they went to high school there, they've been there all their lives and everything, and they finally ended up getting into some of these gated communities, but all of their relatives all ended up getting handed down these 30-year-old properties that have 15, 20, 30 acres. Everybody out there has farmland. Everybody out there has acreage. Because it was basically a couple of $1,000s an acre 10, 15, 20 years ago. And so people bought $50,000 worth of it and everything. You know, you're talking about a lot of land. But this is what it is. And I keep telling you, we're getting to a street, we're cutting a street down, we're putting 10 or 12 things on it. If you look at this, I'm driving past and the signs say split level or ranch houses, clubhouse, pickleball courts, $300,000, starting in the low 300s. Everything's in the low 300s. You can't buy a golf putter in these places that these people are living at for $300,000. A set of golf clubs cost you that, you know? I mean, I'm exaggerating, but the thing is that I'm just pulling up right here, and this is one of those neighborhoods, and it's got the sign saying pickleball courts. You know, look, low 300s. turn in here, low 300s. And you come in there, there's the signs again. All the signs saying, look, we got a clubhouse, there's the clubhouse, there's the swimming pool, there's the pickleball courts. And basically, I'm just showing, these are the ones that are already completed and people are living in them. Then the next ones are, people are buying the lots.
They're actually selling before the houses are even built. They're going into the model that's open and they're buying these things based on what's already built.
They're looking at blueprints in the model.
25
And they're coming out and they're buying the house, not the lot, they're buying the house
marked
before
up
it's built.
into smaller parcels.
Is there any commercial going in around that area?
Yes, yeah, because I just told you about the Arabella place, and then the resort over on the other side, which is Great Waters and Waters Edge,
Alright.
which would be right across from Reynolds, from your parents. And, you know, on Linger Longer where they have the Glen and all that, there's a park that goes
Yeah.
down there. Okay, they're building right over there too, that's gonna be part of the Arabella project. And then everywhere you look, if somebody ended up having a piece of property that, and they heard people are starting to buy properties, they end up coming out there because they live in another state. They came out there and says, we had a house there for 25 or 30 years. It's all beat up, it's abandoned and everything. But let's go clear out some of the place around it and we'll sell this and everything and let somebody scrape it and clear it and everything. But look, there's places like this all over the place, okay? Look, they're just torn down. They're left. And now that people realize that people are buying the land, they're coming down and knocking down some trees and seeing, look, there was something out here that had water to it. There was something out here that had electricity to it, but we let it run down for 40 years and everything. Does that not say, make me an offer? That's saying, make me an offer. I'm clearing it out so that you can see the bullcrap house that we let go to rot. We're wanting cash. Come offer me cash. I'm selling this. Do y'all follow me on this? I mean, it's all over. I have not gone 5 minutes from my own house yet. And here's one that's less than 3 miles from my house. They're doing exactly what I told you. They end up cutting a street down it, 12 acres, 10 acres, 15 acres. 30 days ago, they broke ground on this and they're already putting in the curbs and streets. Haven't gone more than 5 miles from my house. And here's another starting in the 300s. See, 300s is the bargaining point and everything. You know, if somebody ends up saying, oh, well, you're only gonna give me $150,000 and everything, well, I'm gonna put a $300,000 house on it. What do you think it's gonna cost me to build it? You don't have to tell them you're gonna put 10 $300,000 houses on it, because when they bought it, you had to have 5 acres minimum, because you bought a homestead back then. You bought a plat of 15 or 20 acres. But this is going into a phase 2. There's another one going in.
Where they're starting another one?
But this was just something that I ended up showing the investors that I was trying to get in. And like I say, this is all 5 minutes away from my house. And what I just said was, they're building this brand new one, but you see the sign that I'm coming up to right there? That's one that's already built. So what they did is, the people next door to them ended up seeing that got built, and they said, hey, that's an opportunity for us. They ended up living out of state and everything, and they said, we heard from some people that a neighborhood got built and everything. We got 25 acres over there. Let's put it up for sale. You know, throw a sign up and everything, for sale by owner. Let's see what sticks and everything. The next thing you know, Somebody's building on it. But the strike point is $300,000 for all these houses.
Low 300s.
And there's a model home that they come in, they look at, and then they go down here and they buy it before the lot's even graded. I'm gonna go down here and show you that every one of these houses that looks identical, they're building exact same houses, so everybody has the same square footage.
Okay, all under contract. All under contract.
And you just go straight to, before they're ever built, you know, they're already, you don't have to build a house and put it up for sale out there. They're buying it as the lots get put in because people are already wanting that place to live, and they're gonna grab these things because these $300,000 houses are gonna be worth $600,000 in 2 or 3 years when everything moves there. So if you had $300,000 to buy a house, then you'd sit in here, you'd sit in it for 3 years and then sell it for double your money, 600, and move somewhere else. This is the one that's across the cove from me. So Cuscawilla's here, Great Waters is over here, and Water's Edge and everything. So they're building a resort and another marina. And this is, if you're standing at my house, you can look across the cove and see where they have graded all this dirt down from my house. As a matter of fact, you're gonna end up, I'll show you a picture of, from here, I'm gonna show you across where you see the subdivision that I live in. Which is stupid, but then again, you can't get in the gate unless I put your name in. But see, it says resort condominiums being built, resort townhomes. All right, I live across there. This is standing right there at the edge of that's being built.
Is where I live.
Are you the White House?
And that's-
No, I'm to the right of the White House.
And all the houses
It's still,
in Cuscavillo start at well over $1 million and go.
yeah, my wife's aunt and uncle, their house doesn't look like that. It's a nice house.
And you end up getting.
That's Reynolds, right across there.
Great Waters, Ritz-Carlton, and all of that. So this is why.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that's left of the Reds. So
Yeah.
Roethlisberger's around you.
Oh, I'm gonna show you Roethlisberger's house, cause he's one of my neighbors. All right, there's the Arabella. So you know where the Publix is,
Yeah.
okay? Since there's only one bridge there, this is on the opposite side of the bridge at Linger Longer, okay? So you know that when there's traffic, it already takes you 15 minutes to cross the bridge. It's gonna take them 3 or 4 years to build a 2-lane bridge to go across there. That's why I'm doing options, because I know I got 3 years before they'll be able to build that other bridge, because it's not gonna be able to handle the traffic. But that's from Linger Longer, where the BP station is and everything, and it goes all the way around the back to where it comes into the first entrance of the Ritz-Carlton, okay? And the Glen and that park are right across the street, and Cowles Medical Center, it's all right across the street right there. But you can see everything that's being built there, and those condominiums are gonna start at $1 million plus. And this is what it looks like. So it's gonna be a huge, huge place with 120 shops, restaurants, retail. And that's what's going there. All right, and then once again, we've got more places where they put up the white picket fences, and they ended up saying pickleball courts, you know, this, that, and the other. That's the way to go. They don't play tennis anymore. They play pickleball. They play golf and pickleball. They don't want to run. All right, more 300. Oh, all right. Here we go. This is from my back dock. That's my dock, and that's the favorite golf hole right there that everybody plays. So that's what you see outside my backyard and my dock. And I just paid for all that damn seawall there. It's expensive as hell. They call it riprap. All right, and here we go. This is one more. And you'll notice it when I zoom in.
That property right there is Ben Roethlisberger's house.
So he's the Super Bowl champion for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the guy who lives right next door to me is called Corey Crowder. Corey Crowder has got 6 Grammys. Right next door to him lives Jeffrey Steele, and he wrote 6 #1s for Rascal Flatts. And Corey Crowder owns his own record label company. He wrote the song Famous Friends that made #1 just recently, that Chris Young did and all that. Y'all can look these people up and everything. These are all neighbors. But anyway, there we go. Anybody interested in doing anything like this with me, then you end up shooting me an email or give me a phone call and let me know. And I'm already working on it. So if you're not working on it yet, that means that you hadn't contacted me. Okay? If it's something that you're interested in, then I've got all day is booked up tomorrow, but I would say that the first of the week through Wednesday, anytime from 9 to 5, I would be available if anybody wants to shoot me an email, send me a text and say, hey, can we have a time to talk and everything, walk me through a little bit more of this and everything, and I'll be happy to do it. Other than that, then any quick questions and everything, and then we'll wrap this up and let the young lady who's come out there to clean the place in at a reasonable time. Any quick questions or anything? All right, so is there anybody in here who wants to contact me that does not have my information? Okay, all right, my email, P-E-T-E, Pete Youngs, Y-O-U-N-G-S, Pete Youngs @gmail.com. Okay, anybody who wants to give me a call, the best thing that you can do is, instead of calling my number, sometimes I'm on the phone, sometimes I'm in Toledo. I was in Toledo for 8 days, but I can travel back and forth and stuff like that. So it's best to text me. That way, if I can't answer or I'm on a plane or something like that, then I will see that you've gotten in touch with me. Say, this is so-and-so, I want to talk to you about this, just a brief sentence. Can you text me back when a good time is? And because I can text on a plane and everything, but I can't talk. And I am flying back and forth. I got a friend that I'm going back and forth to see, and I got a couple of things to do. All right, and if you'll just click that off, please.
I want you to sign my book since you're the celebrity as well.
Oh, well, thank you so much.